Good evening. I would like to call the Trotwood-Madison City School District regular meeting, April 21st, 2022, to order in our Board of Education offices. Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
And Ms. Moore?
Yes, the meeting has now been called to order. Can you please join us in a pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item up, we have the mission statement, and tonight, I believe it's going to be read by, is it Kai Lawson, a student at Westbrook Village Elementary School. He's not here? Okay, we'll leave it open, so if he does come, we'll add him in. Thank you. I now need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second. Are there any changes, additions, addendums?
Yes. Good morning, good evening. I
Yeah.
tell you, it's been a long
Yeah,
day already.
that is the evening.
I have two changes. The first is that I would like to add negotiations for our executive session. I'd like to have that be the first thing that is addressed. And then, second, I would like for us to please remove from section B1 of the personnel agenda, Tia Rogers. That was a reassignment, and so it's not necessary to be on the agenda.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you'd like to add an executive session first. You want that to be the first one, so you want it
Yes.
to be A.
A.
And then we'll move the one that's A down to B. And that executive session is to prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining session with the public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment per ORC 121.22 G4, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We'll make that change. In addition to that, personnel agenda, you said is item B1,
Yes.
remove, and you said that's a reassignment? Is that a
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Remove a reassignment.
And the name is Tia Rogers.
Okay. Any others? Okay. Being none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Ms. Moore?
Yes. The agenda has now been adopted. Thank you. Next up, we have community comments. Any, Mrs. Allen?
I do not, okay, I want to make sure
Uh-oh.
these aren't blank.
Okay.
Oh, you do, okay, so we do have two.
Yes,
this
ma'am.
evening. The first one is from Maya Haig, and as a community member, appreciation and concerns.
Did you want to read when we have community comments so that everybody understands?
So, the Board of Education meeting addressing the board, anyone wanting to address the Board of Education during the community comments portion of the regular board meeting will comply with the rules, have to complete the request form. When called upon, identify yourself and state the reason for addressing the board. Address the board as a whole through the president, not board members individually. Limit remarks to 3 minutes. No extensions will be granted. When your time is up, you are to stop speaking. It is inappropriate to address any matter involving pending disputes, grievances under a labor agreement.
Good evening. My name is Maya Haig. I am a resident of Trotwood.
I live in the Sycamore Woods area. As a parent, staff, and community member, I wanted to take this opportunity to show my appreciation to Dr. Cosby. Unfortunately, I'm not sure of how much longer Dr. Cosby will be with our district, and it's important to me that she receives her flowers today. Over the time I've had the opportunity to work with Dr. Cosby, there are three main reasons why I appreciate Dr. Cosby. First, I appreciated the way she managed the complexities of education in the midst of a global pandemic. She balanced the needs of students, staff, with our vision of 100% student success as the priority, but did not neglect the well-being of staff. Secondly, I am grateful for the way that she has worked to be a good communicator. The town hall meetings gave an opportunity for everyone to have a voice and be heard. She asked questions, considered options, and then led after fully communicating. Thank you for putting forth the effort to understand the needs and desires of our Trotwood-Madison City Schools membership. Lastly, it is clear that Dr. Cosby is a principled leader. Her performance as superintendent shows that her principles include respect, kindness, collaboration, and an impactful work ethic. These values guide the way that she interacts, works, and collaborates with all. Thank you, Dr. Cosby. I believe that wherever your next step may lead you, you will be successful. The next portion of my comment is directed to the board members. I'm not for sure if I should say Madam President, I'm not for sure. Why are we in this position again? What position, you may ask? The position of potentially hiring in key administrative roles. How can we as a district implement the strategic plan that was developed for the district when administration change happens so frequently? As a parent, staff, and community member, I believe that this constant changing of administrators that have the capacity and the heart to lead their staff needs to stop so that we can see the improvements that we know that our district can make. Thank you for your time and consideration of my comments.
And thank you for your comments. Next up, we have presentations. Our first
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry? Oh, you have another one. I'm sorry. Okay.
I think if I pronounce it right, Sherelle Williams? Okay. That's pretty good, huh? I'm sorry? The Sherelles, okay.
Really nervous. I got really bad anxiety, so I'm really scared. But I'm coming up. My name is Sherelle. I'm a parent of a student who goes to Trotwood-Madison Middle School. I live in Westbrook Village, down the street. And I wanted to come to stand up for my son, even though I'm shaking and my heart is racing so fast. Just calm down.
Relax. We're okay. We are very friendly.
My son is a 6th grade student reading at a 4th grade level. I'm sorry. My son is a 6th grade student reading at a 4th grade level. I have fought for my son to get tutoring all year. I've attempted to reach to Dr. Cosby multiple times. I have talked to Mr. Warner about this, and even went up to Mr. Gibson, to his principal, to try to get him into some tutoring. You guys know that Trotwood is a failing school, and I don't know if you guys think that my son is just a number on the board, but he's not a number, he's a soul. When Taryn told me he wants to grow up to be, you guys want to know what he wants to be? He wants to be an architect. And he's not going to be an architect going to Trotwood. I'm sorry. I grew up in poverty. I lived paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes we ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches yesterday. I don't know how I'm going to feed my children. But all I know is that I want the poverty cycle to stop. And the only way that's going to stop is through his education. So I want you guys to please Put the money into the education for the kids. That's all I'm asking. Why is there no tutoring program for these kids? Stop seeing them as numbers and see them as people, as human beings. They're going to have to take care of us when we get older. At first, I was going to come up here and just start laying out the stats for you guys and what it's like to be black in America, but since the entire board is black, if I have to tell you guys the stats on what it's like to be black in America, none of you guys should be up here serving. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, to please help me and help the other moms out there, the other single moms, the other families that just want a good education. I work at CVS Pharmacy. I work with pharmacists who make over $100,000 a year, and they brag about their kids going to the private school downtown and how they can afford to get their kids in a private school, and how they look down on me because my son goes to Trotwood. Oh, you go to Trotwood? Oh my gosh. Do you guys know what they say about Trotwood? The white community, the white people that live out in Inglewood or live out in Miamisburg and Oakwood, that all you guys care about is sports. That's what they say about us. That my son has no chance.
Excuse me, we're gonna give her privilege. I'd like her to finish. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just asking you guys to please help my son achieve his goals. Help him get to college and graduate. As a black male, he's less likely to go to college. Only 40% of black men graduate with a degree in America. So I didn't want to come up here and have you guys feel sorry for me. I just wanted to let you guys know that it's not just me that feels this way. A lot of us are uneducated on what we can do in our voices. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, and all I want is my son to get some tutoring. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of being told just wait, it's going to get better. It's not getting better. I'm not going to wait anymore. Something needs to be done now. And what happened to all that money that was given through the federal government, through the COVID relief? And so one more thing, I'm so sorry for taking your guys' times, but Mr. Gibson, how is my son, a 6th grade student, reading at a 4th grade level, getting a straight A's? And when I mentioned it to Mr. Gibson, he said he was not concerned about the grades. How can you not be concerned? How are you measuring how these kids are doing through the year that you only care about the state test? Is that not concerning to you guys? So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come up here and yell at everyone. I'm just tired, and I just want my son to not have to work 20 times harder than the white kids in the suburbs. I just want him, if anything was to happen to me, I need to know that he's going to be okay. That's all I want. I just want him to be okay.
Ma'am,
Well,
I appreciate you
Excuse
talking
me,
to us.
excuse me,
Yes, ma'am, Madam President.
excuse me, you're out of order. This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
community comments, sir. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, we appreciate you coming. We appreciate your comments. We hear you. We hear your pleas. It's so courageous you're standing here and sharing with us what's in your heart. That means a lot. We will make sure that there is follow-up for you and your son.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. You're, Ms. Allen, are there any other comments? No. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Moore,
Yes, I'm sorry.
the student might be here.
Oh, okay, our student is here, thank you. Okay, our student is here. And so we are gonna back up to the mission statement. So if we could please have our student from Westbrook Village Elementary School come up and recite our mission statement. And that is it Kaya Lawson? Kai Lawson.
The mission,
Uh-oh.
the mission of the Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all students prepared to
That was a great job.
Awesome job, and thank you. Next up, we have our presentations, and tonight, we have a presentation by Taylor Fit Consulting, LLC, by Jasper P. Person, CEO, and a little bit about Mr. Person as he comes up. He's the owner and operator of Taylor Fit Consulting, where inspiration, navigation, motivation, and education converge to provide solutions for families, teachers, schools, and communities. Drawing from Africa, Western, and Eastern philosophies, Person states that the foundation and understanding that it takes a village to raise a child is what engages him into these spaces of transformation. His influence leaves a mark in the education arena through coaching, consulting, and speaking. Welcome.
Great day. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. President Moore, board, all members of the Trotwood-Madison School Board, City Schools. I'm here to present an opportunity, but before I do it really quick, just to give a little bit of understanding. Work in over 22 different states across the country, doing turnaround work within different school districts, and recently specifically focusing on the state of Ohio through Taylor Fit as an educational consulting company, and variety of resources, whether it be family engagement and curriculum design, data resources, professional development, kind of the whole 9 yards. We kind of tailored, obviously, the work to fit the needs of each individual school or school district that we're working with. One of the things that we identified right before the pandemic was the pressing need around mental health services. And I'm pretty sure that everybody can agree that besides COVID, mental health has probably been the next hot topic and conversation around our education space within our school districts and our communities as a whole. We ended up partnering with Teledoc, which is the largest telehealth organization in the country, to be able to provide telehealth services for schools and school districts for households. And this is key because there hasn't been anything that's been specifically designed and rolled out this way. I think in the mental health space, we can also all agree that one of the issues that we've dealt with is capacity. Being able to have mental health specialists that can actually service our students and our communities across the board. And so being able to partner with Teledoc kind of solves the solution for capacity across the board. They've recently invested about $18 billion into this mental health program. They've seen an uptake of about 300% usage rate for students and families who are engaging in this space. The fact that it is a household plan is key for transformation and success. We know that when our kids come into our school buildings, we do the most that we can do to provide the services that we can for them, and especially in the mental health space and behavioral health space and services that we provide for those individuals. But being able to provide a wraparound service for the household for 24/7, 365 services is a game changer. And so wanted to be able to come in and kind of introduce the plan and the service that we have, the partnership with Teledoc, and then be able to answer any questions. I don't know if my time, was that my time?
Oh, no,
Oh.
no, it's not.
Oh, okay, I heard it, I'm sorry. That was the time was on me. I'm aware. So no, we just know that that if we're really gonna recover, right, in our communities and in our schools, mental health has to be a foundation and a pillar of the work that we focus on. We know that suicide rates have almost quadrupled in our community of recent. The fact that students and young people are in spaces of isolation within their thinking and their processing and their emotional and behavioral state is driving some of our young people to some spaces mentally and emotionally that we know that we need to figure out some major solutions. And so once again, being able to offer this as an opportunity for a school district, for communities, obviously, because you're servicing the whole entire household. It is a whole child concept, right? To be able to do that. And so we're really looking forward to and hopefully being able to work alongside with you all to provide this service, and not just for our students and their families, but also too for your staff. We know there's a great exodus right now going on in the education space, and actually just got done doing some work with the College of Education up at Ohio State, doing some training today with the Columbus Police Department and some of the work that they're doing in that space. And so had a conversation around the need of identifying solutions that not only recruit but retain individuals within the education space to create a well environment. And we know that the education space since the pandemic has kind of been a little toxic, right? We probably all say that it's been tough. And so looking at being able to provide a foundation of wellness is key. So I have packets here for whoever. Thank you so much. And I can kind of open up for any Q&A, any questions around the service, and go from there. I know.
Thank you.
Are you currently engaged in servicing any districts in the area or the region?
No, so we obviously across the state, we're working with a number of different school districts, but locally, the closest school district that we're having conversation with now is Dayton. And it's actually through the work that we're doing with Omega CDC. They service multiple different schools within the Dayton school district. They also have are working to be able to provide additional services to their different programs, and so we're working with them and a number of other individuals within that are connected to the county, Montgomery County, to be able to provide those services as well.
Any other questions?
So what's the,
Oh, I just wanted to know, like the Teledoc service, I can only imagine that it's probably not as effective as in person, but we can't get in person, which was what you were saying. How effective has it proven to be?
Extremely. That's why I was saying that there's been in most cases, a large increase of usage rate with students, families, and educators across the board that are using this platform. Being able to, and we kind of call it a triage model, as you can see with those of you who have the packet. One of the things that we've identified is that the waiting list that most of our providers, whether it's your local hospital or mental health or behavioral health services locally, with a 3 to 6 month waiting period, and students and families are in that position in space. A lot of times it's because everybody's being kind of sent to your therapist and your psychiatrist immediately, but with the triage model using the telehealth space, there is also opportunities, when I call it the ladder model, where individuals are able to be engaged with coaches and counselors, and also digital content. And the digital content piece is heavy for me because it allows for families to be able to also support each other with the digital content and resources that they have access to, which most of us, if any of you all know, for me, when I sit down with my therapist, they're focusing on me and what I need, and that's pretty much it, and giving me solutions around that, but not an overall understanding, education, and awareness around mental health so that I can support my own children, right, in this space. And so that is key for the consistency of transformation and engagement that we see across the board. And that goes for teachers and educators and staff as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
so are you have you partnered and are actively engaged
any schools at this time. I understood you said you're in conversation with Dayton Public.
Mhm.
So are you in partnership with any schools?
Yes, we have a number of schools that we're working with, we're starting the work in Ohio.
Right, but other states.
But yes, in other states, we're working in Alabama and Texas.
What are the ones?
As well as California. I can make sure I send you the list of
Okay.
the schools and school districts that we're
Thank
working
you.
with as well. And engagement that we already have.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Person, what would it look like here at Trotwood? What would the service look like exactly?
So, yeah, it's actually pretty awesome. Simple usage, anyone can access it. You don't have to have Wi-Fi to be able to access this resource, which is great because it also has, with that telehealth component, it also has a 1-800 number that you can call and access to support and engage within that space immediately. It also has the ability to schedule and engage with counselors, therapists, and psychiatrists through text, which is different. We know a lot of our young people, especially our middle school and high school students, who are utilizing that as an engagement resource because this is kind of where they are, right? And so the ability to engage through text, the ability to engage through phone calls, as well as virtual, visual, and then also referral to in person, which we kind of connect that triage model, which allows for the individuals who are local to be able to receive triaged individuals that are referred through the actual software and platform.
So am I hearing you say this is 24 hours?
It's 24/7.
It's 24/7, weekends, holidays?
Weekends, 365.
365 days. So even when our kids are not here in the summer, our kids are not here after 4, our kids are not here before 7, and they need assist, are you saying that this service is available?
Yes, I am. And so that's why it's really awesome too, especially for, a number of our parents who work second and third shift, right? Who don't have time or the resources to schedule, a meeting with the local psychiatrist sometimes during the day or, to be able to get transportation to, a brick and mortar location sometimes to be able to access that platform and that resource at any time is huge. And you see a large uptake specifically with students and parents using it in the evenings. And a lot of times you see a lot of the triggering of whether it be stress or high anxiety or depression, those things actually happen, during those times, right? Where you can't walk into, like I said, a brick and mortar space and be able to receive some resources.
So is this like concierge mental health services?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. I guess our next question would be, how is it reimbursed? Is it, are you part of a collaborative? Are you part of a consortium?
Yeah, so on that end, from a funding standpoint, and we're working with schools that are using their ESSER dollars to be able to provide this service for their staff and their students and families as well.
Staff, students, and families?
Staff, students, and families. They're also using, working with a few schools that are using title resources. So there's a lot of different ways to be able to identify the funding resources for this platform.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Parsons. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Your information, I've got this is a PowerPoint. Is that what this is? And
Yes.
you
And
have a
I'll
card
send,
for
I'll make sure I
superintendent?
send all additional information, resources, and different engagement components that are connected to that. And then I look forward to working with whoever you guys will identify
Okay.
that next step would be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
We
you so much.
appreciate, we
Thank you.
appreciate the information.
Thank you.
All right. It's good information. You said staff, students, and families, right?
Yes.
Next, ELC, Madison Park and Westbrook Village. We have some good news updates. Who's gonna go first? All right.
Let's get it out of the way.
Let's get it out of the way.
That way I can focus on what everybody else has to say. Thank you, Board, for allowing me to share some of the positive things that are going on at Madison Park. I did kind of prepare something a little bit. We do take pride in maintaining a very positive culture for our students as well as our staff. This year has shown through our continued high percentage of students and teachers that have been having good attendance. We have maintained, it's kind of always been one of our goals to make sure that everybody is continuing to come to school, that teachers are coming to school on a regular basis, because that allows for a lot of other positive things to take place throughout the day. The addition of the 2 permanent substitutes throughout the year, throughout the district, has helped tremendously. It's helped us maintain a very consistent classroom, has limited our behavioral issues in a sense, but it has also allowed them to create very positive relationships with all of the students. They know they know those people, they are familiar with them, they have built relationships with them, and so when they go into the classroom to substitute, it has been a very positive experience for the students. 100% of our teachers are participating in the letters training. This training will help all individuals to better understand the concept of teaching students how to read. It provides our staff with strategies and helps us to better understand the steps to follow in helping our students all become better readers. I have appreciated their overall commitment to this project, and I really look forward to reaping the rewards moving forward in helping our students to be successful. Our students have shown great endurance throughout the year. It has been a learning experience for everyone. This has been a totally different year than what anyone has ever experienced. You've had to reset your endurance, your ability to come to work 5 days a week, 8 to 4, for the students to get up, to come ready to learn every day, 8 to 4, and just everyone's commitment together, the parents, the students, the teachers, the entire staff has helped us, I think, be successful. The development of our social emotional program has also been a key component this year. Our students have had to learn self-regulation skills and learn how to use strategies to help them get through the frustrating times. Our 3rd grade students especially are in a critical period where reading and writing ability set the stage for future success. We have worked very diligently to try and teach them from where they began the year and exposing them to grade level material and pretty much covering the entire realm of literacy. From letter recognition to phonics and phonemic awareness, and then to fluency and reading for understanding, every component of literacy has been taught by the classroom teachers in 2nd and 3rd grade, which is huge, okay? I mean, that is not typically all of the components that any of our teachers have to teach. So they are working very hard, and our students are working very hard. Our building has incorporated win time, which is what I need time. And what that means is, students that struggle in different areas, they are getting additional support outside of the core. It does not interfere with the core curriculum. It is additional intervention. We have used our paras, our substitute teachers, our academic and cultural enrichment team, which are, in layman's terms, our music, our PE, our art teacher, and our computer teacher. All of those teachers are participating in some type of literacy learning with students. Our coaches and counselors, our TOSA staff are all also assisting in that area. Our PBIS implementation has also been a strong incentive for student participation. Our students have responded very well to our positive rewards program that recognizes model behavior throughout the building. We are continuing to build a positive culture by using this system. Our school-wide projects included the creation of our holiday videos, which featured all of our classrooms, and we shared videos with all of our families because of COVID and not bringing people into the building. The students sang a variety of songs, created some skits, and just had some fun with their presentations. We also tried something new with our students participating in a Black History parade, and the students got to dress up and represent their favorite person, and that turned out to be a really cool event. And again, we videotaped that and sent it to parents, and the students were able to do a little research project that went along with their representation of their person. So it added a little learning element there as well, and they really enjoyed the participation. Our next big project for the year, as far as student engagement, is our talent show. Our students love to show off their creative sides, so that is kind of an annual event that we do at Madison Park to feature our students and their artistic talents. Again, everyone in the building helps with making that event a very positive event. Typically, we have all of our families invited. We are thinking that we are going to bring families in for this event. We're just trying to coordinate how we want to do that. If you've ever been to Madison Park, you know that there's not a lot of room for parking, so just coordinating that so we can fit everyone appropriately. We have great aspirations for the upcoming year, and we've already been planning our events for family engagement nights and all of those literacy nights and math nights and family fun nights. Those were all on the calendar this year, but kind of COVID sort of held us back, but we are trying to put a lot of things in place. And I know some of you have been involved in our BLT meeting or our DLT meetings, our events that we've had here with the board, and some people look at the data and they see that our attendance is pretty decent, our behaviors aren't quite the norm, I guess, but I attribute that to the consistency in our staff and in our leadership. In our leadership, I think that when a building becomes consistent and you have people that have created a family-like environment, a team concept, it's not hard to make sure that everyone is playing an important part in the education of our students. So I appreciate the last 10 years of being able to maintain a consistent staff, and I look forward to the next few years. And that's all I got. Just wanted to make sure I got that in there, that consistency was important.
I have a question for you, Ms. Snyder. We have the school calendar events, but it doesn't have a time on it, so it just says Madison Park Talent Show. When is your talent show?
Initially, we were doing it during the day.
Okay.
And typically we do do it during the day. We haven't arranged the exact time yet. We just have to make sure we don't have other things going on. So it'll probably be in the afternoon at like 1. I mean, we try to look at bus dismissal, and our parents going to take students out after the talent show. So there's just some things we have to look at.
So you'll let us know what
Yes,
the
I
time
will
is.
put
Okay,
the
that's
time.
why it's not here. Okay,
Yes.
you weren't quite sure. Okay.
Yes, I'm just not, I didn't put a time.
Okay.
Usually, because we haven't been inviting parents, so it was just one of those, we've been recording it.
And I commend you. It's not us that is keeping your building consistent. It's the leadership in the building
Right.
that's keeping the building
I
consistent.
appreciate that.
All right. Anything else?
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right.
Great job, thank you.
Good evening to Dr. Cosby, Ms. Moore, Board President.
At the ELC, one of the big things that we are doing, of course, I can say that I've almost successfully completed my first year as a building administrator, so that is extremely exciting and important with the learning curve that I have had this year, because it has been one, but I think, you know, I've been on the roller coaster and I'm still on it. So one of the big things that we have done, especially this fourth quarter at the ELC, is helping with attendance. We noticed that student and staff attendance decreased. So the biggest thing that we have done is every day, students, the classrooms get recognized for those that meet the 95% goal of attendance. So the classrooms get announced, names go into a drawing, and every Friday I have popsicles with the principal for 2 classrooms that win. So tomorrow afternoon I'll be delivering popsicles to 2 of my classrooms that win in the random drawing. So the more opportunities that your classroom has to get in the raffle, the more chances you get to have that prize. Same with staff attendance. For every day that staff are there, their names go into a drawing, and so I have gotten off of Teachers Pay Teachers, just the cards that say, you know, coverage duty, 30-minute early leave, 30-minute arrival late, and so that I've been able to provide coverage for the staff members so that way they can feel appreciated as well. As far as upcoming, our big thing is kindergarten recognition. Will occur on Thursday, May 26th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. It will be a drive-through event similar to it was last year, so it will begin at 5:30. So that's the one big highlight. There's been many things that have been happening at the ELC, but that's the biggest and most recent. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're getting through these. Okay, as far as Westbrook Village,
Thank you.
all right.
Mr. Nadir is headed to the
Nadir, I'm
podium.
like, Westbrook Village? Hi, how are you today? All right. Oh, nice.
I saw that.
Thank you.
Nice.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First, I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to let you all know what's going on in Westbrook. My goal is always, it's about the kids. I always tell my staff it's not about the big people, it's about the little people. So I try to put things in place to motivate students and to sort of promote school spirit. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about, we have what are called quarterly celebrations. So at the end of each quarter, we have celebrations. In order to celebrate, there's a certain criteria that students have to follow. They have to earn 150 points. Through our PBIS program, we have an electronic system where kids can earn points when they display our RAMS expectations. So they have to earn 150 points. They can't have any Friday schools. They cannot be suspended from school or in-school suspensions. And that also includes the bus. So we would let them know that the bus is an extension of the building. So in those quarterly celebrations, my first quarterly celebration was a dance. My second one was a skating party. So we take students to all those things. We had about 280 students that qualified to go skating. We have another skating coming up, and these are things that the students wanted to do. We also are taking the students on a field trip to see the black violinists. Again, those are things that students have to earn to the privilege of going to. We have our student council, so just to give an idea of the activities our student council have been involved in. They had what was called a Great Kindness Challenge with the month where they had in the building, we had to recognize folks who were doing daily kindness to one another. They prepared Valentine cards for the residents at Shallow Springs. They had a canned food drive, which was tied to our Spirit Week. They work with our PBIS team. So again, a lot of the celebrations that go on in the building, the students have input on what's going on. And they are saying, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this or not.
You can say
But
it.
they are working with staff, and not staff, but they're working to organize staff, things for staff appreciation week.
Oh, nice.
So that will take place next month. I'm not sure. Even our morning announcements in our news program is live streamed, and that's ran by the students.
Okay.
So again, those are things to get the students in control and involved in the everyday life of school. We also have what is called Relentless Rams. And with the Relentless Rams program, it ties the grades, behavior, and attendance. So just to give you an idea, we have 3 levels. We have a red level, a black level, and a white level. With the red level, it ties in, I couldn't do GPA because it was late to get the GPAs for my grade level. So just to give you an idea of what this means, the red level, students have to have all A's and they can only have 1 B. They have to have at least 18 hours. They cannot have more than 18 hours of absences. And again, they can't have no Friday schools, no suspensions, and so forth. So when you get to that level, these are some of the privileges that you get. Now the privileges are red level, you get 3 of everything I'm about to talk about. The black level, you get 2 of, and then the white level, you get 1. In the white level, is students that have all C's, but again, they still have an opportunity to get some of these privileges. So some of the privileges, they get homework passes, fast pass tickets where they don't have to wait in lunch line. They get to show their ticket and go cut everybody. Then Mr. Smith, AD has been gracious enough where they get athletic passes, but they have to be accompanied by an adult. And they get other things like test exemptions. Now to be exempt from a test, it's not a state test, but they also have to already have an A or B. So it's not like they are getting away with something they still have to already have an A or B to maintain. So those are some of the privileges they get for those Relentless Ram cards. We're currently doing what is called a March Madness Challenge, where the classrooms are competing against each other, similar to how the March Madness brackets are local. So it says March Madness, but it's extended. We try to carry it out until testing is done to motivate the kids to continue to come to school, even up to leading to testing. And we still are doing our Nifty 50 celebration, where students have to come to school 50 consecutive days. And after those 50 consecutive days, they have a Sunday parties with like 50 different topics and so forth. Our Lego League, unfortunately, they didn't get an opportunity to compete this year. It's a long story, but the robots are Lego blocks. So because it's in a public domain and we have other activities in the building like basketball in 21st century, so students didn't know that they were robots, so they dismantled some of the robots. So if you do that, the kids have to reprogram their robots. And we didn't have, they didn't have enough time to reprogram their robots before the competition. So since they didn't have an opportunity to do that, on a Saturday, we brought the kids in with their parents and had pizza. So they were able to demonstrate, and some teachers, they were able to demonstrate their robots and how it worked. They were able to demonstrate their innovative project. And with their project, they had to come up with a way to, like, their project was to help do transportation, help folks. So like if there's a roadblock, if there's construction, through Google Maps to show truck drivers and so forth how to reroute their path and to avoid those routes. So that was one of their innovative projects. And then they showed the parents how they constructed their robots. And again, parents didn't really see how they did it because, you know, they dropped them off and had them to work with the teachers. But the parents to actually see how they designed their robots and programmed their robots, the parents they were really excited about that. And then we have a STEM class. We had to find a creative way to reduce class size for my 5th grade group. So we started a STEM class. And this class is 90% STEM. She also does some other activities to reinforce some things that are taught in the classroom. So this 5th grade group, they are participating in what is called the Green Box Bronx Machine. And that's what I've given you a picture of. It's either a hydroponic or hydroponic or aeroponic garden, which means this garden does not utilize soil. They utilize insulation, like from homes with the seeds. So the device that you see is where they grow their garden and vegetables and things through that device. This is a grant that we are working through with also the city of Trotwood. The mayor was at some event and she contacted Dr. Cosby. So through that, we just, I don't say we decided, but we decided
to
to go through it,
participate.
because eventually, when you see it, it helps with like food deserts and so forth. So that's a portable machine that is in one of our classrooms. And some of the activities, it comes with the curriculum. So some of the activities that the teacher has been doing, graphing like the growth of the plant. They've had debates in terms of GMO, are you for it or against it? They've had friendly letters that they wrote as if they were the plant, and then they had to write a friendly letter responding to the plant. And then some of the things that are being grown in the garden, lettuce, arugula, bib lettuce, fancy lettuce, and I didn't know there were different types of lettuce, but they told me it has to do with the leaf. Basil, zucchini, cherry tomatoes, and sweet peppers. So those are the things that's growing in that device, hydroponic garden. And then the last thing in terms of activities, we are planning on having a family picnic May 26th. We have not had a lot of activities in the building due to COVID. A lot of our things, like our honor roll, those things have been virtual. We videotaped it and sent it through for parents to see. Are there any questions?
Oh, just one comment. This would look really good at the Ohio Convention Center for the Ohio School Boards Association. But to all of the principals, you're doing wonderful things, and I know I said a lot, I'm gonna say it again. We have awesome staff, we're having great programs, but we have to promote them. We have to promote the people that are behind them. Give the recognition where it's due, so.
This is going to be on the news.
Right, this is great. And one of
Yes.
the other things is, since we got this grant in partnership with the city, maybe we can have some of those students come to a city council meeting and if it's.
Share it.
Yeah, and maybe share what this looks like. That's that real true partnership. And the last thing, during COVID and virtual learning, one of the best things as a virtual teacher was seeing the students do the morning news. They were absolutely awesome. So that's another really good one. But thanks to all the principals with all the great projects that you're doing.
Yeah, question. How many of these type of apparatuses do we have in the building?
We only have one.
Okay.
We were on a call yesterday to see the possibility of getting more than one. So that's in the work with the person who's in charge of it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this project. I've been on the emails with this project. Mayor Mary McDonald, this was part of her Ohio leadership programming. And with those relationships, this organization only chose 2 school districts, and Trotwood was one of those districts. This is huge, and when the media outlet gets the information out, I think we're gonna have a teacher interviewed, is that correct?
Yes.
Dr. Cosby? We're gonna have the administrator and
Yes.
students.
It happened yesterday.
Oh, okay, when will it air?
They said coming up soon, Friday or early next
Saturday,
week?
I think.
Saturday.
Okay.
I know it's coming up soon.
We should get that information out so that people are looking for it, because that's good information. And so, again, and I like the idea that Vice President had about going to the city council meeting. We'll set that up as well if we could.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what partnerships are all about, and that's what collaboration is all about. And we've been trying to work with our city officials for a very long time, and I can't think of a better way to do it than having everybody involved, not just the big people, but the little people. And so, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, good job.
Okay. Those were good news updates.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you, principals. We appreciate the information. Next up, we have our consent agenda. Item A is approval of the minutes for March 3rd, 2022, March 11th, 2022, March 17th, 2022, and March 21, 2022. Item B is the approval of donations to the middle school. Item C is approval of Meta Solutions Master Service Agreement. Item D is the approval of Meta Solutions Schedule 1 and 2. Item E is approval of Meta Solutions Constitution and bylaws. Item F is approval of Samaritan Behavioral Health Agreement for this year of 2022 and 2023. Item G is approval for adding 5 extra days to the high school counselor's work schedule. Item H is approval to offer a sign-on bonus for hard-to-fill district positions. Item I is approval of out-of-state travel for the high school marching band. And item J is approval of Catapult Learning Summer Journey Services. When we do the consent agenda, these are all items that we've gone through at our last work session. However, anything that's bolded was not there before. There may have been discussion on it. So if anybody has any questions, we will address them, but I do need a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll move.
I second.
I have a motion and a second, and now I'm gonna ask, are there any questions?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I do appreciate the band did send us the video with the actual interviews from the students as they were there during the concert. Very good job. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Ms. Allen, being none, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes?
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Motion passes. The consent agenda has been approved. Next item up is the treasurer's report.
Okay, I have 2 items for you this evening. One is the financial reports for March. We did have a finance committee meeting. Mrs. Jeter Freeman and Mr. Davis participated this evening in Ms. Moore's stead. And I just want to go over several things. So the first one is the cash reconciliation for the month of March. Bank statement balances were $790,501.41. Investment balances, $31,814,364.12, making a total bank and investment cash balances of $32,604,865.53. We had outstanding vendor checks, and we had an adjustments of $1,896.52. With those total outstanding adjustments, the adjusted bank balance does equal the district balance on the financial system of $31,956,004.25. The second schedule is the spending plan for March. And it does indicate your monthly actual for revenue and expenditures, as well as the fiscal date actual, fiscal year date actual amounts. I did point out in the Finance Committee that although the month of March, we had excess of expenditure actually over revenues of $589,953.83. Fiscal year to date is in the black of $399,681.65. And then the last schedules are the list of checks over $1,000, and there were several questions on checks. And so the first one was check to Bricker and Eckler in the amount of $9,522. And going through the bill, it had a lot to do with discussions on special educations, on employee related information. So that was for Bricker and Eckler. The next one was for P&R Communications, and that was for mobile radio, our mobile radio quarterly airtime for that, and that was an amount of $8,046. Rehab, Mark, was another question, and that was from the athletics department, and they bought a 10-foot, 3-seat taping table. So that was that. And then there were questions on checks to Bird Enterprises, and the Bird Enterprises was the company that the band used for their tours. And then the last one, oh, I'm sorry, that was it, all of the questions. That was all of the questions for the checks. And so, yes, so I asked for approval for our March financial report.
I need a motion to accept Treasurer's Item A, approval of the March 2022 financial reports as presented.
I'll move.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and second. Are there any questions?
The one on the grants, is that on your next report?
No, that is part of the financial packet that is
Okay.
in the board docs for the board.
Okay, so, just, if we can get a follow-up on, we get the report for the grants. And the one for 21st Century, so it shows what we have encumbered and what we have unencumbered. We're 75% through the year, and we still have a significant balance unencumbered. So, you know, I still want to give those parents those checks to go to their own personal tutoring companies. But if we can get a follow-up on what we have planned, because we only have short-term,
Right.
left. Thank you.
Ms. Ellen, where is that on the board agenda? Because I don't have access.
That is part of the financial packet that we go over in the finance
Oh.
committee, and then it's under your executive tab.
Okay. I think my executive tab is not here, but I can get, it's not on here. But I can get that information, okay? Okay. Any others? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes,
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Davis, Mrs. Cherry,
yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Motion passes. Approval of the March 2022 financial report. Next.
And then B was a then and now certificate for Ennis Britton Company, which is the vendor. The descriptions are legal services in the amount of $10,059.48. I have to bring this to the board because there was not a purchase order or requisition put in prior to us getting the invoice. So before I pay this, I have to have board approval to pay this amount. And Ennis Britton has done quite a lot of work with our negotiations, and then there was significant communications from the board on that particular bill.
I need a motion for Treasurer's Item B, then and now certificate for Ennis Britton.
I second. I motion.
Okay, I have a motion,
Sorry.
I'll second.
and I have a second. Are there any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes,
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes, motion passes. Treasurer's Item B, then and now certificate for Ennis Britton. Okay, Item 6, Superintendent's report.
All right, I'm going to go up to the podium to do my next thing. It's really hard to follow the acts of the people we've had so far today, our principals, our presenter. Everyone has been really good. So I'm going to take my best shot at this because what I'm about to share with you is also very awesome and exciting. In honor of Administrative Assistant Day, April 27th, all Trotwood-Madison clerical support, central office secretaries, building secretaries, administrative assistants, and our technology department staff are being recognized for the talent and service that they provide to our internal and external stakeholders. You are Trotwood's finest, and you provide the Trotwood advantage. I'm going to call the names of these employees, and I would like for them to stand if they are here. We are going to do, and we've talked about getting certificates and doing more to show our support, and we're going to do that at year's end. So Group A is clerical support, administrative assistants, and secretaries, and their names are Jennifer Allen, and if you're watching us, know that we're excited for you. Renee Baker, Shante Bennett, Kalina Brown, Clarissa Burt, Sierra Davis, Deshelle Davis, Donna Finley, Ebony Fleetwood, Melody Fordyce, Daphne Garrett, Cynthia Hopper, Bree Mickey, Yelena Michelle, Gail Neese, Shelley Piron, Latasha Reese, Davika Robinson, Tia Rogers, Deneen Ross, Tiara Scott, Marion Smith, Kim Tidd, would you please stand? Kim Tidd. Well, I'll just share with you all, she's been administrative assistant in the treasurer and the superintendent's department for 21 years. She's been in the district, so. Next we have Billy Wells. And then Group B is our technology staff, and we have Eric Brenner, Luke Fultz, Cody Hardman, Alan Matthews, Ryan Moore, and Michael Sanders. And I noticed that you did not stand. Luke. That's Luke, a little shy over there. All right. Just wanted to let you know that we have a very great staff. They do really hard work, and we do appreciate you. Okay. I have to pull my computer back up. Next on my report is item B, approval to use ESSER funds to buy school supplies for the elementary schools. And we have calculated all of the amounts. And so it is on your executive tab. You can see that we have numbers for each of the elementary buildings, the ELC, Madison Park, and Westbrook Village. We have two different options. What we're asking for is to have these supplies and not spend more than $75,000. And both of them came under that, both of our options. The blue source was $54,889.64. And Kids for Kids came to $59,852. This is for action, so I would like to ask that you vote for us to be able to get these supplies.
I need a motion for Superintendent item B, approval of ESSER funds to buy school supplies for elementary school. Supplies. Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Andrews, I believe, is that correct? He motioned. The second was Mr. Davis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? I have a question. I
Okay.
know you said you, I'm looking at it under the
Mhm.
executive tab, and I'm trying to open it up. Here we go. And there were a couple options you shared with us. Thank you for breaking that down.
Mhm.
That is very, I mean, we can see everything. There's no question about that. The item A was 54.8, and item B, I guess, was 59.8. And those are the two choices, correct?
Right.
Okay. and the request is for 75,000. So I'm just kind of curious what the additional 15,000.
And it said
Oh,
not to
just
go over that.
not to go
And
over it?
after we did this, we realized that it did not come to that amount.
So the actual request was 75, but then you
Yes,
realized
the
it's-
need will be this.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I have a question. All of these items that we just approved for, would this mean that the parents at the beginning of the year will not need to bring in
Right.
items such as these? Okay.
Yes, and that's exactly why we're doing it at this time of year. If you'll remember, last year, we decided when school started, you know, that we could use ESSER to support buying supplies. But at that point, a lot of parents acknowledged that they had already purchased them, and we didn't want that disappointment again.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Ms. Moore?
Yes, motion passes. Approval of the ESSER funds to buy school supplies for elementary schools. Next item?
Okay, next item is the personnel agenda. And as you know, we had the personnel agenda on at our last meeting. Anything that is new on the personnel agenda shows up bolded. So I'm asking for approval of items in A, recommendation for the approval of the following certified resignations for the 21-22 school year. A2, recommendation for the approval of the following certified retirements, disability retirements for the 21-22 school year. A3 is recommendation for the approval of the following certified athletic supplementals for the 21-22 school year. A4, recommendation of the approval of the following certified letters unit training for the 21-22 school year. Move a little slower on this thing. A5, recommendation for the approval of the following certified home instructors for the 21-22 school year. A6 is recommendation for the approval of the following two-year administrative contract. Okay. Then we go to B, our classified personnel agenda, and I have B1, recommendation for the approval of the following classified resignations for the 21-22 school year. Recommendation B2 for the approval of the following classified retirements for the 21-22 school year. B3, recommendation for the approval of the following classified letters unit training for the 21-22 school year. B4, recommendation for the approval of the following staff to be used as needed on an as-needed basis for the 21-22 school year. B5 is a recommendation for the following classified adjustments in pay for the following supplemental contracts. B6 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified new hires for the 21-22 school year. B7 is a recommendation for the approval of the following classified athletic supplementals for the 21-22 school year. B9 is a recommendation for the approval of the following student worker for the 21-22 school year. That's everything. This is for approval, so I'm asking for action on the personnel agenda.
I need a motion to accept Superintendent item C, approval of the personnel agenda as presented. However, with the removal of B1, a reassignment for Tia Rogers.
So moved.
Second.
And properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Being none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman?
Yes, abstain on A3.
I'm sorry, I'm lost my
You missed
place,
one.
Miss Moore.
Did you call everybody? You missed, did you have?
I'm gonna start all over.
Would you please?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes, abstain on A3.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
and Ms. Moore.
Yes. Motion passes for the personnel agenda.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Discussion, follow-up items, and updates.
Okay, I'll start with A, possible readiness summer programs. And as you know, we've already approved Catapult, but I do have binders for you that will share with you some of the things that will be happening this summer. So I'm going to pass these out quickly.
So these are in addition to Catapult?
In addition to Catapult.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw you. So again, these are things that we are putting in place for the summer. As you can see, students can be involved as late as doing the Lego camp, which goes from July 25th through the 29th. So we'll have almost an extra month worth of activities. Behind this first page is information about each of these programs. So you can take those home with you. I know, for our time situation, I can just read the things that we're going to work to get completely in for as many kids as all the students. These things are not obviously for every student, but an air camp, for example, is something that the students have to enroll in, but once they do, because that is connected to the military, we will pay for it. We are providing transportation as well, and Mr. Howard reminded me today, let him know as soon as possible what's happening so we can get transportation underway. So we have drone camp, camp invention, Lego camp, things that will be happening at the library, and we will be providing summer lunches. So I just wanted to share those things with you. Please take your time, take it with you, and read through those.
Well, thank you. Item B, when I call the items, if you put these items under discussion, please take privilege to talk about those items. These discussion items are put on by board members and superintendent or treasurer. So they show up on the agenda so that we can get some questions answered or some clarification. Okay, so senior baccalaureate, or who item is that?
Item A,
Item B.
no, item A, I put item A, and I requested for item B as well.
Okay.
So thank you, Superintendent, for providing this information. I think that the parents would greatly appreciate
Thank you.
this for our students for the summer, a summer enrichment. And then I asked for the senior baccalaureate because I was not aware that it was an option for a baccalaureate or not. So I don't know if the board was aware of it or not, but I just wanted to basically educate myself, if you will, on the senior baccalaureate. And I am one of the parents that's working with the senior class in recognition of possible baccalaureate and the picnic. And I just didn't know that it was an option. Has it always been an option?
The reason that baccalaureate is an option is because it's generally religion-based, and we can't requires students to come. What we try to do to make it accessible to as many students who would love to attend that type of service is to use non-denominational services or more than one pastor or minister, to provide it. So that's why it is optional, and it's not something that we can mandate. If there's a student who does not want to attend that type of service, then, yeah, that's why.
How many students, do you think would participate in it?
Well, I understand, because I believe due to COVID, we haven't had it in the last couple of years. And I've been here, it's been many years ago, but traditionally, pretty much all the students come. It's one thing that they see as a senior item. Mr. Stone, if you think that is different here, then would you?
We just have a number of students who at the time we asked about the senior baccalaureate at that point in time did not seem to be interested in the senior baccalaureate. But that doesn't mean that as we get closer to that date,
Right.
that they don't come on board with senior baccalaureate as
Right.
a senior.
I agree. To his point, if you think about it, they were 10th graders when they left out. If they didn't have a sibling who was a senior, they may have never been familiarized with it. So that could be why it appeared some students weren't interested. You probably have more than may have initially showed interest.
And many years ago, the senior parents, we had to do that
Yeah.
for our students.
Well, I mean, the senior parents are preparing for it now, but if we don't have a significant amount of students, it would be non-void to, prepare baccalaureate.
Yeah, I know that when my children were here and I participated with this parent group for the baccalaureate, we didn't really have a number. I mean, what we did, we met, and if it was 2 students, we still wanted to provide something. So it wasn't about like numbers. Initially, we went to a church and we talked with the church, and we've been doing this for years, and a lot of the churches have opened their doors for our students. It's not, matter of fact, at a particular church here in Trotwood, they actually have a whole program for our students in baccalaureate events. And they have a program coordinator and everything, because we use their facilities for so much. And they just basically accommodate our needs. I mean, whatever the parents would ask for, I mean, that would be a parent event and a school event that way, a senior event. But it has never been anything that has been related to what we do as a board. Okay? So, but I know that the churches have opened their doors, and they are more than happy to accommodate whomever would want to.
Well, tentatively, it would be May the 22nd.
Okay.
And it's going to probably be, so far, about 30 students that have reached
Okay.
out as of this week.
Great.
So, it's not on this because it's,
We'll get it on there.
But
Yeah.
yes, okay.
And I think once you put it together, a lot of students show up.
They do.
They'll, once they know that it's being planned, those 30 students are gonna bring another 30 students probably.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
is that all, Ms.
That's-
Terry? Okay, thank you. Next, item C, approve ESSER projects. And,
So this was on last time.
okay, I'm like,
Yeah.
where is anything?
I didn't know if
Okay,
anybody was
I'm
going to take credit for bringing it on, but
Okay.
it was,
It's for
I think you
discussion.
did.
It's for
Okay,
discussion.
yes, Ms. Jeter Freeman
Yeah.
asked about it. So
Uh-huh.
last time we went a little long, so we didn't actually get into it.
Oh, do you? was
Yeah, so
that-
I got that
Okay.
back for you again. I figured some of you may have forgot to bring it back. So, ESSER 1, if you, so look at that first page. The remaining unencumbered balance for that is $76,255.77. And these funds will be used to purchase school supplies and clear backpacks for students for the 22-23 school year. And that's, what we just talked about. ESSER two, the remaining unencumbered balance is $1,588,932.31. These funds will be used to pay for the following 25 positions for the 22-23 school year. And as you can see, the reading intervention teachers, intervention specialists, parent engagers, technology coordinator, social workers, math intervention teachers, instructional coaches, paraprofessionals, a help desk technician, and a lead counselor. Okay. And then we get to ESSER 3. ESSER 3, we are still working through those numbers to get them as exact as we can, but at this point, it appears that the remaining unencumbered balance, when this was done, was $12,463,203.73. Approximately $6 million will be used to pay for the following 24 positions in the 22-23 school year, and all of the positions funded by ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 in the 23-24 school year. So if you'll remember, these things sort of carry over, and that's why, you know, some of the money will be used to maintain those positions.
And it's beyond 24 that Ms. Allen, we, and Dr. Cosby, we would start to look at, you know, how do we absorb those costs within the general fund without
Right.
going in the negative and balancing that out.
And we're still at a place right now where we are, you know, even looking at some of the things that we have, where they, what we want to continue with. And so that's why I said, you know, for ESSER 3, since we are in the process of planning the use of it, some of this may change, but we will keep you abreast as that happens, if it happens. ESSER 3 continued. Under business and operations, complete the flooring projects, HVAC and roofing projects, which will be approximately $1 million. When they're in those parentheses, it's approximate. Curriculum and professional development, we're going to adopt new curriculum programs, continue professional development, offer summer and after-school programs. We're saying approximately $1 million. School safety, these are the things that we've had our safety retreats on. We've talked about them. The short-term expenses that we talked about, the vape detectors, the cell phone pouches, and additional experiences for students would run around $1,691,000 and, I'm sorry, $1,691,800. I didn't see the cents on the end, it threw me. And then the long-term expenses is we're still looking at the cost and things for a possible alternative setting. And again, we said it is not your traditional alternative school, but another type of setting for students, central office, back room renovation, and some type of activities that would be in that back room for our students to get enrichment. For example, a biomedical lab, possible STEM activities, and we're looking into quite a few things actually to go back there. And so as these things get more firm, we will, you know, be keeping you abreast of them, and those will be conversations that we will, you know, continue to have as we move forward. We do have two companies who have come in just to give us like a broad idea of what they think it would cost to do the renovations to the back room. We had one firm come yesterday and then one come today. And so we're starting to, you know, get some pricing together so that we can be more exact.
On the pouches, I've talked to some different schools that have had those, and so they didn't have success, not to say we wouldn't.
Right.
But I'm trying to make sure I understand whether or not this creates more time for a teacher to unlock as the students go out, because I might be viewing it as wrong.
It's not as they go out of each class, it's at the beginning of the school day and at the end of the school day. And, you know, administration can determine if they want to allow the students to have access during their lunch period, in which case then it could be set up in the cafeteria and, kids could have it unlocked for 15 or 20 minutes,
But is
something
it a
like that.
physical device that each student has to go and touch?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the confusion part I see, where we're already a little chaotic and kind of listening to some of our staff during our meetings. So that's my concern, is that it might create a little more.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why we want to pilot it, because they may want to weigh in if the fights lessen, because the kids don't have access to their phone, they're not, and we're talking middle school, they're not saying negative things to one another and ramping up things. One thing, about a pilot, and we can talk to them about rental, and then that way if it doesn't work, return. That's the idea of a pilot, though, is just to see what would be most places that I've talked to where it wasn't successful, found that they didn't have their plan in place, and they did not enforce it with fidelity. And so it's a lot of upfront training for staff as to how to make this work.
Yeah, I also have talked with folks that have tried that, and it was not successful. And I was wondering if, this is a $50,000 pilot, correct? Like initially, the numbers were $50,000 that you gave us for I think 500 of these or something like that.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah. And I'm thinking if we're gonna do a pilot, maybe it should be a smaller dollar amount pilot, because that way, if it works and there's some success, then we can expand the program. But when I think of a pilot, I don't think of $50,000. I think of more like $10,000.
It was $15,000, $30 each for 500.
Is that what it was?
Yes, yes.
For some reason, I thought the first one, did you see that originally?
It's on here, it's $15,000, $30 each for 500.
It's not.
If you look by cell phone pouches,
It's not that one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
What is
that's
that?
for the metal detectors, Evolve Express metal detectors, $139,200 for 4-year lease. So
Okay.
if you look across the Halo,
what?
Oh, I was
Okay.
looking at the
Yeah.
wrong spot.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's $15,000.
Okay.
Okay, 15,000 at $30 each for 500.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is if we purchase them, and
Yes, I said I was gonna look into the
you're gonna look
possibility
at-
of rental.
I think that would be a great possibility, only because if we are successful, that's wonderful. We will expand it throughout our district. But as a pilot, we're not gonna be stuck with equipment that we can't use.
Right, I'm so much more optimistic.
Yeah.
But
you know
I
what?
hear you.
We can be optimistic, but we also have a policy in place that restricts cell phones in classrooms. And the way that we're gonna have to enforce this with fidelity is the same way, we're not gonna let the policy go. The policy is still the policy. So again, it's gonna be a lot
Yes.
of classroom management, because we don't throw the policies out the door because we get a pouch or a piece of equipment. We still have to enforce.
Of
what's
course, we
already there.
understand that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that, because, again, we're not having good success with that, and that's why we're looking at this. So we have to make sure that we enforce that as well.
Okay.
Um, Oh, one other question. I know that you have a long-term goal of a biomedical center in the back. When we looked at doing, spending the dollars, did we do a survey with our students to find out what they may have wanted as well?
We already have a survey in process. That's why I said we have some ideas for what might happen in that area, but we're waiting to get that feedback. And I do believe we did one once before, but we actually have talked about that recently, and Mr. Warner is preparing it to send out.
Okay,
So those decisions will be impacted by what we get back.
Yeah, we'd be interested in knowing what those surveys are saying, what kids want, because we don't want to silence the student voice at all. And I know when we have curriculum and professional development, adopt new curriculum programs, continue with professional development, and offer summer and after-school programs at $1 million. Those after-school and summer programs, does that include tutoring?
Yes, we are looking at providing parents with vouchers to attend, and we're going to offer, Sylvan again. We're also going to offer, there's another tutoring company. Yeah, we are doing ACT
I saw those.
and SAT prep.
So when did we offer Sylvan the first time? I wasn't aware.
If you'll remember, you all talked about doing that last year.
We've been talking about it at nauseam,
Exactly,
but
yeah.
I didn't know that we offered it. and
My understanding was that we did and no one took us up on it, but that would have been last year. So for this year, we are looking to offer Sylvan.
Okay, and really promote it, because I know parents are gonna be in line, in droves, because that's just extra support for their children. And it's obvious we have to have more.
Yes.
Okay, next item, update on Amazon partnership.
That was
Was
the
you?
one I sent
Yeah.
in, because I remember Amazon had reached out to us.
Yes.
And I just wanted to know where we stood.
So that happened at the point last year, like January, February, when we were making some changes in our department. And it was Amazon, we applied for and received the opportunity to do an engineering STEM program. So we are going to connect back with them, and it was for this school year, but we're going to connect back with them to see if we still, qualify and can get in for next school year. So I'll keep you updated on how that goes.
I put the last item on board retreat dates. Board, we have to look at our calendars if we could on a retreat date. I know that there was some recommendations for specific topics. Mr. Andrews, you had drawn up a sheet early on. We forfeited our usual board retreat because we wanted to get in front of the safety and security. So we did the retreat with our staff and with our district. However, we still need to do board PD along the lines of issues that are happening within the district, things that we need to be more astute about. Also, board relations, board superintendent relations, that sort of thing. OSBA has done that for us in the past, and they're willing to do it again. We're members, so want to get those dates on the calendar. So if everybody has their calendars open and can maybe share a few dates, we can do it a couple different ways. You can send Elena a couple good dates in May, and then I will weigh in with OSBA. Typically, we've done those retreats on Saturdays, half a day. However, we can do whatever is more conducive for the board if it is an evening retreat. But it's so hard to pull together dates outside of a public meeting because we don't do any school district business outside of these meetings. And while we're all here, it's a lot easier, honestly, to say what we can and cannot do. So today is the 20th, 20th? Okay. 21st. If we can get a handful of dates for May, everybody has agreed that Thursdays are typically our board meeting days. So if you want to do something during the week, look at the Thursdays in May in the evenings. Or if you guys are open to doing a Saturday, then we can do Saturday. And that would be for the board PD. Any suggestions on that? Comments? Okay.
Saturday, right now, looks okay, but Thursdays do also. So,
Okay.
a preference,
Thursday,
Thursday?
What about?
for me.
Okay, Saturday? Yeah, these retreats, when we have OSBA come out, they're usually a half-day retreat. They can be all-day retreats, if anybody's ever attended them. So that's why we choose like a Saturday morning and it ends at noon or something like that. You know, maybe 9 to noon or 8 to noon. And it's a workshop, so there's work to do.
So you're gonna throw out some dates? for
And I have to check
May.
with OSBA too.
Okay.
But do we wanna look,
Yeah,
so
so
are
I
we
would like
saying
you to
the
look,
12th
guys,
and the
because
20
we have a hard
or the
time with these
26th?
dates outside of these meetings, and I don't want any confusion or misunderstanding, or I don't want to leave anybody out. So that's why I brought it before the board.
So,
Mr.
can I-
Andrews, do you have a?
Can I get some?
I'm
I just
sorry.
want a clarity. So I'll be attending the one of the two, is that correct?
You know what, yes, yes, and
Okay.
actually, probably attend both. Let me, we can if we need to. I'll talk with
Okay.
OSBA, okay?
Okay.
But at least one, and that would be
Okay.
the board superintendent.
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay, that's the one.
Okay.
And you mentioned that one as well, way back, all
Mhm,
right?
right.
So if we're looking at our calendar, and we're looking at May, we're looking at the 14th, we're looking at the 21st, we're looking at the 7th is kind of close, so I don't know if they could accommodate us that quickly, but those are the 3 Saturdays, and of course, Memorial Day weekend, we want to stay away from that, which is on the 28th.
Right.
okay?
The 14th would be the best for me if we were to do the board superintendent.
Okay.
I'll just throw it out there. My good news is that I have my husband's cousin. I'd like to take credit for her. But she's retiring from being the president of Rensselaer Tech. She was the first African-American female to graduate from MIT. And then she's been president of Rensselaer Tech now for 23 years, and her retirement is that week. So I actually will not be in attendance at Thursday's meeting on the 18th, but it is our second meeting of the month. And so I believe this time it's Mr. Howard's turn
Yeah. I
to sit in.
appreciate that information.
Mhm.
I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah,
on that.
no problem.
So the 14th, that's what you're saying,
And
correct?
that works for me in
Okay.
May.
Okay.
I mean, you all talking about Saturdays, well, I didn't hear no Thursdays dates or no.
14th?
So Thursday.
I know, and I'll check with OSBA, because they don't, like, we do it Thursday, when we're using OSBA, it's like a 4-hour slot. So less people are gonna get off work a little bit early, we're gonna be here really late. And that's why, whenever we bring in trainers from Columbus, we wanna be conscientious of that too, 'cause they have to still drive home.
Yeah, so for me, Thursday the 12th, though, if we were gonna look at a Thursday.
And if it was gonna be Thursday the 12th, it would probably be 5:30 to 9:30. Okay, but I'll check with OSBA.
About the same, Thursday the 12th.
Okay.
Thursday the 12th is good.
Okay. So we're looking at the 14th or the 12th. Those are the two dates, and it just depends on the trainer. Okay. Thank you. Next item, board committee reports. Are there any? Okay. Next item up is treasurer's comments.
I just, it's attached under your executive tab as well, the treasurer's update for April. It just updated you on the staffing plans, and I think a lot of you guys read my email to the district about changes in the treasurer's office. Also, the FY '21 audit is continuing. Hopefully, by the end of the month, we will be finished with that. And then FY '22 audit, I'm working with the state auditor's office for a RFP to get an independent public auditor to do our FY '22 audit for next year. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is that I did present on last Monday at the Glasgow conference on treasurer evaluations. There were several individuals that reached out to me and really liked our cornerstone evaluations that you guys have used to evaluate myself. So I just want to let you know that.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allen. Superintendent comments?
Oh, I'll just make it quick. I just wanted to share that this picture of the hydroponic plant, it's
like twice as big as that if you've been over there. So over spring break, I mean, and they're gonna actually cook this food. They're talking about what type of recipes, salads and pastas and things to use these. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Thank you. Next, any board comments, Mr. Davis?
I'd just like to thank all the presenters today. Mental health is important. I think as we look at the world, we're starting to see that mental health is very essential. I also would like to thank our diligent and our principals that always take the time to stand with us, help us, and our rest of our educators that come in here daily and fight the good fight with us. I'd also like to thank our officers, our superintendent. We care so much for you, and we want you to have a great time when you go. Enjoy your friends and family. Madam Treasurer, once again, you don't miss as usual. And that's about it. Just God be with us and Godspeed as usual as we endeavor on this week as we continue on. I enjoy Ms. Chair. You're such a delight as usual. Mr. Andrews, I always can call you when you're there. Madam Vice, what can I do, Ms. Freeman, with those numbers that you're helping me with learn in our Finance Committee? And of course, Madam President, thank you for your wisdom at times when I'm trying to figure out what I should second and motion on. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Ms. Cherry, any comments?
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank the principals who are putting in place things for the students and the staff and recognizing them and trying to make the journey a little bit smoother. But I do not want to turn a blind eye to what Ms. Hegg said and what our parent has said, because that speaks volume. So I don't want to turn a blind eye to that. I think we as a district, we as the board need to make sure that we put systems in place that's gonna make us have progress. And the systems that are not in place, we need to discard them. Because I'm a parent also. I'm a parent of a child that's in the district right now. And that speaks volume, what that young lady said as a parent. And we cannot turn a blind eye to that. But once again, to the principals and everyone else who is trying to do what they can to ensure that our students are recognized along with our staff, I really do appreciate that. But we got to get moving on what the parent said, because the parent speaks volume. And I don't want us to just sweep that under the rug. I want us to put something in place so that we will be making progress for not only her son to learn how to read or read on the sixth grade level, but for all of our kids. So we do have some good things that's going on in Trotwood, but we have some things that we need to work on as well. And that's all I have to say.
Mr. Andrews?
I guess the first thing, I kind of agree with the last remarks that Ms. Cherry made. I don't like the fact that any parent would have to come in and be that upset or distraught about their child in terms of the education and the opportunities they're receiving here. So I'm sure we're going to address this very directly. But I would also like to thank all of the presenters from the schools that came up. It's a lot of nice things going on, and hopefully the hydroponics will be able to expand. As an old science teacher, I always liked science stuff, so I thought that was very excellent, along with everything else that's going on in all the other buildings. The end of the school year activities sound really good, and hopefully COVID protocols will not prevent a greater community participation in those with students and parents. And also the staff that was recognized, congratulations to them. And for those who weren't recognized, congratulations and much respect to you as well, because obviously it can't pick everybody, but I know that there are a great many folk who are doing some really good things here to help us move forward. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Vice President?
And I think I already shared my comments during the presentation, so I'm not gonna hold you any longer, but I am excited about the summer enrichment programs that we have that the students can participate in. The only thing is, how do we communicate those out?
We're gonna do a big communication, yeah.
Yeah, and I did see the hydroponics on social media, so that was
Yes.
good to see, and I'm glad we had a report out on it, and that's all, but thank you for staying, and again, I'll say it again, we have great staff, we have great people doing great things. Please take a moment to acknowledge and write those people up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cheetah Freeman. My comments are, first and foremost, the principals, thanks for the updates. Thanks for the good news. Superintendent, really appreciate the events calendar. It's something that now we can really
Yeah.
put our teeth in, and
It's a living document
it's
too.
a
We'll be
living
adding to
document.
it.
And see, that's what's
Right.
important, you know, a real living document that we can actually hold, touch, and feel, and actually participate. We don't have to guess, we don't have to wonder when things are, so I appreciate that. I also want to say that, Ms. Sherry, I'm in complete agreement with you. What we heard here tonight, guys, we have got to make a shift. We have got to make a shift. That parent, Ms. Head, I believe, that was her name, right, Ms. Allen?
Ms. Williams.
Ms. Williams, okay, thank
Sherelle
you.
Williams.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, Sherelle
Okay.
Williams, yes.
Ms. Williams, what she said, guys, when I go out of this district, when I'm out in the community, I hear that. I moved into a new home. I have new neighbors. One of my neighbors is a professor at Sinclair Community College, and I shared this with you, Ms. Cheetah Freeman. So she walks over and she says, you know, I know you guys are really trying, but when I get your students, they can't read. And they're in a 2-year college, and they have to take a lot of remedial classes. So what this parent said was true. We have got to make a shift. Again, it's not an indictment on any one person, because we are a body, we are a school community. When parents come to us with these concerns, when students come to us with these concerns, we cannot dismiss them, and we have got to address them. And I'm happy to hear that we are giving the vouchers. Ms. Cheetah Freeman has been screaming tutoring forever and ever. And I'm glad that we've made that move, Superintendent, to give those vouchers to Sylvan and other organizations that can help our children outside of the school day and outside of the school year, because they are in dire straits. We are a failing district. We are. We have to do better. The parents said it. And again, I want to address that head on. So a lot of the questions that you hear coming from this board, we're asking those questions so that we can work together collaboratively with you to find an answer. Is it a new policy? Is it an additional line item in our budget? What is it that we need to turn that curve? Because we're in the business of educating children. That's the only reason we're here. Education. We can't educate, we should all go home. And we just need to make sure that we're doing the best that we can, and we're giving our kids the best possible opportunities to be architects, to be physicians, to be whatever it is they want to be. And we own that as a board as well. We own that, and our kids deserve that. So again, I appreciate the updates. I appreciate hearing what is yet to come. I appreciate how we're going to be spending some ESSER dollars for safety and security. And again, we appreciate you. Without further ado, I want to now get a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per Board of Education Policy 0166 and ORC ORC 121.22 G1. In addition to that, actually, that's item B. Item A is going to be going to adjourn into an executive session to prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with the public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment per ORC 121.22 G4.
I'll move.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second. Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Jeter Freeman.
Yes?
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry.
Yes.
And Ms. Moore.
Yes, motion passes. We will now enter into executive session. No action will be taken. And that is 7:26.